Alright guys, what is going on? Welcome to your 26th MySQL tutorial, and in this lesson we're going to start finally editing the database, because before we have these tables, we have this data, and we can look at it, maybe select some columns, select some rows, that's nice, but we can never update, edit, delete, make new tables. In this tutorial we're going to begin on that, and I'm going to show you guys how to insert a row of data first. So each of these is obviously a row, but what happens whenever we want to add a new one? Maybe we have a new user that signs up for our website, or maybe someone lists a new item. Well, let's go ahead and learn how to do that right now. So take note before we begin that I'm going to be working in the items table, and every item has an ID number, a name, a cost, a seller ID, which was who is selling that item, and a number of bids for that item. So let's go ahead and let me show you guys a really basic way, the core basics of inserting an item into a database. Go ahead and type insert into, and then after you type insert into, you write the name of the table you want to insert the data into, items. So now what do you want to insert into items? Well, we just want to insert one row, so go ahead and type the word values. Now inside here, these are the values. Now, remember I said that each row has an ID number, a name of the item, a price, a user ID, or excuse me, a seller ID, which is like the user ID, and the number of bids. So 5 things. So you need 5 things whenever you insert it in this kind of way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I just go ahead and do that. So I don't know, I like doing it because I don't forget any commas or whatever. So the next row I happen to know is 101. That's the ID number of the next item, and now we have to give it a name. We'll just say we're selling like bacon strips or something. And now how much are we going to sell these babies for? $9.95 seems like a fair price. Now let's just say that the user ID is me. I remember from our customers table that Bucky Roberts is 1. And last but not least, the number of bids it starts at is 0. So now that is how we insert a single row into our table. Right? Insert into, write the table name, and write the values, and make sure however many columns you have in your table, not only do these have to be in the correct order, well, I'll show you this right now. You see, whenever we look at our table, the items table, how these columns are arranged, first the ID, then the name, then the cost. That's what order you have to write into whenever you're writing your SQL statement. So remember, you can't change the order, it's given to you. So that's nice. And why am I stressing that so much? Because what if your boss comes in and he says, you know what, we actually don't need the number of bids right here, or we actually want to put the name at the end. Or he changes your table structure in some way, maybe adds columns, takes away columns. Well, that's nice and all, because now we can just write new SQL statements. But what if we programmed our entire website set up where it was just those statements where we had to insert the items in that specific order? Well, now we have to go back to our website, rewrite all of our code, and it's going to take a whole lot of time, and we're probably going to have to fix a whole bunch of crap. So I want to teach you guys a better way to insert data other than explicitly writing each column by column. So here is an alternative and better way. Go ahead and write insert into. You do this every time you insert any data. Now, of course, write your table name, but instead of just writing values after this and typing in whatever data you want in your new row, go ahead and add parentheses, and inside here is where you write the column names of what data you want to insert. So ID, name, cost, seller underscore ID, and bids. Now you can go ahead and write, wow, definitely spelled that wrong, values, and how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember not to add a comma after your last one. So this is item 102. I didn't even show you guys the row that we just inserted. I'll show you in a second. And this item can be fish and chips. And how much can this be? $7.99. Seems like a reasonable price. And of course, my seller ID is 1, and it doesn't have any bids so far. So this is an alternative way by explicitly writing the column names. So now let's go ahead and hit go and check it out. One row inserted. Don't believe me? I'll prove it to you. Sort by ID, descending, and check it out. That was the first thing that we inserted. 101 bacon strips and 102 is fish and chips. So those are two alternative ways that we can insert data into a database row by row. But why did I say this was better? I want to talk to you guys about this. You know how our boss said maybe we don't need to put the number of bids, or maybe it's gonna become maybe it's gonna go after ID or name is at the end. Well, even if your table structure changes, which it quite often does if you ever work for a web design or a programming company, this is still gonna work because you're not saying, okay, you're not deleting this and said, okay, ID has to be first, name has to be second, the price has to be next. Even if those values are or columns are all mixed up, you're telling it right here what order you're going to insert this data into. So let me show you guys an awesome example. Even if your columns are ID, cost, name. Now we know our table is set up not in this order. It has ID, name, then cost, and then it has these two extra things, but it doesn't even matter because what we're saying is, okay, we only want to insert a row for the ID, cost, and name. So now whenever we type something like, let's see, what item is this? 103. 103 and, I don't know, what am I going to sell this for? 777. And the name is beef on a stick. Much better than beef off a stick. So what happens is, unlike before where we have to explicitly give it the exact structure where the table is built, we can just insert data however we want to, however the programmer wants to insert the data. That's what we're going to do. So this is much better, and anyways, if our boss comes in and changes the table structure, this code is still going to work. So we're going to say, okay, we're inserting the ID number first, which is 103, then the cost, then the name. I don't care how the table is set up. This is how I'm going to insert data. So we can go ahead and hit go and make sure it's inserted just like this. Checking out 103, beef on a stick, 777, and these two are default values, which I'll talk about in the next tutorial. But anyways, that is your tutorial. Again, the key thing to take away is you can go ahead and insert data without adding the explicit column names, but it's very nice to add the column names, not only because it tells MySQL how you want to insert the data, but you can also alter the number of columns that you want to insert and also the order of the columns. So it gives more control to the programmer instead of just the database designer saying this is how you need to insert data. So there you go. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to add me on Google+. Don't forget to send me $500. And I'll see you in the next video.